Okay, welcome back to DDF Footy Chat. It's been a couple of weeks. Well, it's probably been a bit longer than a couple of weeks. We've had a bit of a winter break and then our own little winter break. So how about we just get straight into the content this evening, because we're going to try and make this action-packed, short and snappy, aren't we, Thomas? Okay.
Yes, please.
Yeah. So I think there's no better way to start than starting with Aston Villa. No, not Aston Villa. With Leicester versus Wolves. So, Thomas, the question that I want you to answer is Rodgers' time up?
Okay, so did you watch the game?
Yes, we did.
You watched the Leicester versus Wolves game?
Yeah,
All right.
crap.
First of all, what did you think of the football Leicester played?
Crap.
You thought it was crap?
Yeah.
No, be honest. Be honest. Don't be like, I'm a big snobby Man U fan. Be honest.
Right. Okay. It was majorly crap.
Okay, all right. I'm not going to get serious.
My honest opinion is, I mean, obviously Wolves are a hard team to break down. I thought you were okay. It's hard to say really against Wolves because just defensively.
All right. Well,
tough.
I get what you're saying, because Wolves have got one of the best defenses this season so far. Stats wise, everything proving that. I was in the Wolves away end, right? And let me tell you, it was fun, right? Good atmosphere. Mind you, it's a cracking stadium, right? But like around me the whole time, slagging Leicester players off. I was like, nah. But I tell you what, right? Wolves got the first goal, and I thought, oh no, the south stand at Wolves are proper going for it. But then Leicester scored, and they kept coming back at Wolves, and it shut them up. And my uncle says, you shut up the south stand. So I mean, like, from my point of view, Leicester did some pretty good bits of play. Yeah, we still weren't good enough. I thought what I was most annoyed at, though, what most got me, was the attack. Not so much the midfield. I thought we created play quite well. But I thought just Daka on his own. He's no Vardy up there. I'm telling you, he doesn't occupy the minds of the defenders like a Jamie Vardy. He doesn't occupy the box like a Jamie Vardy. Not yet, anyway. So I just thought him on his own doesn't work. Whenever he's done well in Europe, it's been because he's linked up with Iheanacho. It's because he's linked up with other people, because there's been two up there.
So why didn't Rodgers put Iheanacho up there with him?
I don't know. That was my biggest
because he sucks.
That's my big. I don't think he sucks. It's my biggest beef was, why is he out there? And he's not. I think he's got the promise to be that good. I think he has shown, because he's scored a few goals so far. He's certainly had a successful period. I just don't think he's aggressive enough. I don't think he's. Jamie Vardy gets under people's skin. He knows how to ruffle feathers, right? Somehow he just annoys and intimidates and whatever he can the defense early on in the game. I think Daka's just seems not aggressive enough, a bit too polite to occupy that attack on his own. That was the biggest problem. We didn't really do enough with the chances. If you look at our stats, we had way more chances than they did. We had more shots. We just didn't do much with them. And Wolves were very clinical. Literally the second half, against the run of play, they got the ball up. Podence just ran it down. And they got a goal. Very clinical. Leicester were the opposite of that. Leicester, their defence was a bit leaky again. We could have at least stopped the second goal going in. Too much space again. And nowhere near clinical enough. So Leicester do have a lot of things to work on. But ultimately, I don't think we showed the sort of performance that's a manager that's lost the players. It wasn't like that at all. Not for me anyway. I mean, the Nottingham Forest game, maybe. But not the Wolves game. I mean, I thought we had some good promising bits of play. I'm not going to keep hiding under this shadow while behind, the great big, the shadow of our injuries this season, even though we've still got about 8 injuries, and Wolves had a fully fit team that hadn't played all week. So there's a few advantages they had, but ultimately I thought we should come out with a point. A few players were off it as well. Tielemans wasn't really on his A game.
I think you're clutching at straws, if I'm honest, because you just said two things there which I think are ridiculous. So That team now have had long enough to gel. That team now have had long enough to put in some performances. If Rodgers was as good as what Leicester fans make him out to be, then surely he should be able to get the best out of his players. And then on the flip side to that, Wolves have some time off, so therefore they are technically fresher. However, that can also go against teams as well. Yeah. So I think we've got to have that balance between saying, just
how does having a fully fit, where they've got every player at their disposal, and having a week off go against them?
I didn't say it goes against them. I'm saying that sometimes when teams do have that week off where they've not played for a couple of weeks or whatever it might be, sometimes that can go against them. Look at some of the results that United have had when they've been fresh. Okay, they've gone on and they've lost. Okay, so my point is that stop making excuses. You need to realise. Well, I think the question again needs to be asked, and you haven't answered this, is how much longer are you going to give Rodgers? Because you are now into double figures of games lost in the Premier League this season. You've only played 23 games and you've lost 10. 10 games you've lost. Surely, come on, man. If you want Leicester to be as high as they possibly can, you can't accept 10 league defeats before the season's even over. Surely.
I mean, we have obviously spoken about this before, and what I said is that I don't think Rodgers is going to be considered to be getting a sack until Leicester are dropping down there. And I did have a little look at the table earlier, and Leicester are now they are 10 points off Burnley, who are joint bottom of the table on 17 points. Burnley have got a game in hand on Leicester, and they play each other next. Yeah. So technically, if Burnley were to win that game, they'd be on 20 points, which would leave Leicester 27 points off relegation. Well, yeah, they're currently 9 points off relegation, with Watford on 18 with a game in hand on. With Leicester got a game in hand on Watford. But yeah, so they're around, let's say, 9-10 points off bottom, and they are like 6th place Arsenal, 42. So around 15 points off anywhere near top 4. So what I said before was like, yeah, if Leicester were starting to get towards that bottom half of the table, anywhere near that relegation zone, then that's where you really have to start looking at Rodgers' position. And if results don't go their way in the next few games, they could very much be in that position.
You're actually right. Burnley play Tottenham next and then Leicester. And if both those games go against Leicester's favour, then you're right. Leicester will be 4 points off Burnley. That is mad. I completely hear what you're saying. The board have just come out. There's been an article read that they're still backing Rodgers. Now, this is interesting because they did that quite recently, just not long before Claudio Ranieri's sack. They literally backed him like 3 or 4 games before he got the sack. So I'm not saying because they're backing him, he's
obviously
safe.
They have confidence that he can turn it around.
And I think
that doesn't also mean that he will. And like it's like what I said is he's obviously got a few games where he can turn it around. I think he's safe in his job until he starts to drift towards that relegation zone.
Yeah, I think
if he gets within a couple of points of it, which could happen.
Well, actually, it could happen very soon if we lose to Burnley. And Burnley are a slightly different machine than they were this time last season. I mean, they've got some much better striker now. Who's starting to show some great form in.
Yeah, I mean, we all know that Burnley defensively are like. I mean, you could say they're one of the best, mainly because they just literally park everybody behind that, in the box. But
they've got that decent striker now too. That Weghorst.
Yeah. I mean, let's not forget they beat Brighton 3-0 at Brighton, so they could be a whole different beast now with Weghorst up front against Leicester. And like I was saying, if you're saying that Leicester are pretty weak in attack at the moment, Burnley are tricky.
Leicester, I mean, I thought their strategy against Wolves was not the best of having Daka on his own. That's what I will say. I think Leicester are still a strong attacking side. As stats will prove, they're like not top of the Premiership, but they're like bottom for defence, but they're quite up there for attack. So I think we've got the skills there to take Burnley down, but we've got to have a different strategy than Wolves. We can't have a lone Daka. It's not enough. It's not enough for where we are right now, how desperate things might become if we lose to Burnley. We can't risk. We need to go with something a little bit more definite. I think by then we'll have a few players hopefully come to our rescue a bit. But you're right, we definitely need a different strategy. We can't have a lone Daka up there.
I mean, Leicester ain't that weak. Like, if you really consider it, at the back, you're not that weak. You still got Thomas. You still got Soyuncu. You still got, Justin is starting to come back as well.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. I get what you're saying, Nick. I think what Leicester have suffered, they've lost their leaders in these positions, right? I know Soyuncu's very good, and he was very good with Evans. Time after time, he did very good with Evans. He needs that leadership. The midfield need that leadership. Tielemans is good as a leader, and that's good. We've got Tielemans. So midfield is good. Up front, Daka isn't really a leader right now, unfortunately. So we're kind of we've lost kind of our leaders in defence and our attack who would really organise and galvanise the side. I'm not saying we've got enough quality to do good stuff. I'm not saying that at all. We should have. And there's a few things that are a fault for Leicester, but some of our key leaders, which we need to galvanise aside, are just not there. And I know I'm making excuses, whatever, but also you have to say that is a big reason as well. I mean, some of these players we were going to base and form our team around have not been there. And I think at times Rodgers has made mistakes and we've all been frustrated. At times he's made the best with the situation at hand. So I'm just trying to see things balanced because I'm hearing stuff from some very fickle Leicester fans saying, get him out now. But you need to be quite balanced. You need to take things into account. Yes, if we do lose to Burnley and they win Tottenham as well, 4 points off Burnley, it'll be a slightly different situation.
I mean, I hear what those Leicester fans are saying because you've got to have standards. I mean, I'm just looking at your record at the moment. You've played 23, you've only won 7, you've drawn 6, you've lost 10, you've got a -6 goal difference. You're closer to relegation than you are to the top half of the table, to top 4 anyway. Like, I understand loyalty to your manager, it took me a very long time to turn against Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, so I completely get it. But at the same time, if you want more,
you're just chipping away, aren't you? Just chipping away each week.
No. I think that you can be blinded by your loyalty, and I think that's what's coming across at the moment.
Yeah. And do you know what? That could have also been the downfall of us with Claudio Ranieri. But the owner stepped in, and much to the dismay of some of the fans at the time, I know quite a few Leicester fans that were very upset by that choice. The owners swooped in and made a decision.
Yeah,
and was for the best of the club. And I don't think that would be just yet. But if things keep going the way they're going, it won't be long. That's what I'm going to say. It's not just yet though, and he hasn't lost the fans just yet. He certainly, from what I saw, Wolverhampton hasn't lost the players just yet. Okay, if he had lost the players, and the players weren't playing from like Ole Gunnar Solskjaer suffered at the end of his Man U reign. You know it, Nick.
Yeah.
When the players really stopped really performing and really having that confidence, knowing what they were doing under him, fair enough. But Rodgers, he's still getting performances from players. Like, there's still players there who are just performing great. Some things are ticking along, but
I don't think he's getting performances at all, if I'm honest. I've not since you guys beat Liverpool those few months ago. I've not been impressed by Leicester at all.
Really? So yeah. I wasn't. To be honest with you, that Liverpool game, we were just hanging on for our life. We wouldn't really.
Yeah, but that for me. That shows resiliency. That shows that you can be a threat on the break, and you've got that resilience. You play that hard ball. But I'm not seeing any of that right now.
And to be honest, I did actually see that against Tottenham. They were great.
Because I saw
there was a massive fight, but then they threw it away.
Yeah,
I saw a bit of a fight against Wolves as well. I saw we come back into the game, take
Mm.
possession. We had 62 possession that game.
Yeah.
I mean, majority of the shots. I mean, we were still the dominant side in that Wolves game overall. Wolves were clinical, and Leicester weren't, and it cost us.
You got to ask yourself, what matters more, performances or results?
Yeah, no, I completely get that. But my point is that for me, when a manager's time is up, it's like all these things happen. I'm not saying we have to be relegated for that to happen. I'm saying the players stop playing for them. I'm saying you lose the fans as well. None of these things have quite happened yet for Rodgers. So I still think he's got a bit of a race to run. I think he's got a few tricks up his sleeve. I hope he has. But yeah, I'm a bit worried. I'm not saying I'm not worried.
Yeah, I think Rodgers is probably in the job until he's obviously still got the Conference League, which winning you will guarantee a spot in the Europa League. You can finish bottom of the table.
See, a funny thing, right? I know, like, they were like, oh, hopefully we can build momentum now. We'll beat Randers 4-1. Randers' total team worth is like something like over £500,000.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we're playing a team that's probably the same worth as a League One side. And all
Randers.
And they played quite well at time against Leicester today. They came out and they got that goal, and really, that's not going to fit. As a fan, that's not. I'm not seeing 4-1.
No, but you are always going to beat Randers. But you will come across some tougher competition if you want to win that trophy.
Yeah, and that's our only way. To be honest with you, if we have some good results there, I can see that being a turning point in our season.
Yeah, I mean. Okay, I think we spent long enough on Leicester, but I think that there's going to come a point where his time's up, because otherwise you're going to come to the final day of the season, you're going to be just one off the bottom, and it's going to come down to the last minute of whether you stay in the league or not. And then I'll be saying, Tom, I told you so. Unlucky.
Nick,
see you in the
if you ever think that's going to happen, you don't know Leicester's owners well enough.
Well, listen,
they are quite brutal. I mean, as much as I like the owners and they're very community-based, they've shown in the past they don't mess around on these important decisions to protect their investment, protect their club. So we'll see.
I mean, I don't think Leicester are going to get relegated.
No, I don't either. But it's a nice narrative, isn't it? It's a funny narrative. Oh, Leicester could, in a few games' time, be 4 points off Burnley.
Yeah.
That is always a narrative that plays against Rodgers and puts pressure on him. And so it should. Yeah. And so it should.
Listen, I've seen more brutality from a Chinese restaurant when they haven't cooked the meat properly over Leicester's owners, to be honest. So,
You're being serious?
Yeah,
You've seen how...
I'd say our owners have been more brutal than your owners, to be honest.
Well, maybe, because you are the highest revenue generating club in the whole world, spend the most money on players in the whole world. You have the most pressure financially to perform out of any club in the whole world. Leicester, a very well-managed club with great recruitment, and not had the best season, but that's because the owners have made some great decisions and not spent a fortune in the process.
Yeah, well, let's see what happens. Let's hope Leicester stay up. You're clinging on for life. Okay, so, all right. That was a good little Leicester chat. Now, Tom, you can breathe. Okay. But just have in the back of your mind, is Rodgers' time up? All right, so let's move on to the next game. Matt, I'm pretty sure that you're going to be happy. Take it away. Brentford against Arsenal. What were your thoughts?
Yeah, nice little kickabout with the boys. As Ivan Toney said after the Brentford win, he tweeted that out. And Lacazette, I saw on Twitter, posted the exact same thing this week. So just to rub a little bit of salt in the wounds. We had to win that game against Brentford. We just had to. Like, that first game of the season with all the COVID stuff and our team not being fully ready and them just absolutely milking the win. So, yeah, we showed them that, that they were dealing with a real Arsenal team. And happy with the performance. Saka and Smith Rowe putting the goals in because Lacazette can't, basically. We need a striker. I've been saying it since the transfer window, and obviously not getting a striker in. If we can get a decent striker in next season, then that'll be perfect, because we have people that can put balls into the box, and with our young gunners coming through, Smith Rowe, Saka, Odegaard with his magical touches. I think we have a basis there for a team. We're just lacking a few players in key positions to score more goals. And then obviously, a late Brentford goal just to, I don't know. I mean, it's like it's meant to be, really. Decisions like that obviously, he was onside, but there was a few key refereeing decisions, VAR decisions in that game that didn't go our way. A couple of penalty shouts, a handball that was very similar to the one that Manchester City got. I won't talk about the Arsenal agenda, and
gosh,
it's a good job we won though, because otherwise I would have been knocking on the FA's door saying you need to sort your refs out because they don't like Arsenal.
Oh dear, I think you need to be giving your head a wobble. Stop with this Arsenal FC agenda. It's just, I mean, you could argue loads of teams have had VAR going against them. You could put United.
Yeah, but there was just so many in this game, like penalty shouts, penalty decisions. We had 2 penalty shouts that, like, for me, as clear as day, in the space of like 30 seconds. But it doesn't matter. I'm not going to focus on that because we won and we deserve to win. But at the end of the day, Brentford hardly had the ball. We controlled possession. We controlled everything. Like Ramsdale hardly had to touch the ball. Solid performance, really. It's just a good job that we have them players that we can rely on, like Saka and Smith Rowe and Odegaard, and Partey and Xhaka had a great game in the centre of the pitch. Our defence didn't have to do a whole lot, so I'm happy with that. And we just need a striker. We need a striker that score goals. Like I do like Laka because of his hold-up play, but we need more than that. We need him to be there in front of the goal.
So the question I want to ask you is: Arteta? Oh, no, I'm joking. So the question I wanted to ask you is: are Arsenal back then? Are you starting to see signs that Arsenal are going to start climbing that little table?
Well, like it's obviously promising. We've had a good run of games. We're scoring goals now. We are keeping clean sheets, and when we're not conceding that many goals. Goal difference could prove to be the key to getting Champions League football. Because if West Ham continue to win and get points, same with Manchester United. We have a couple of games in hand on both of you and West Ham, Manchester United and West Ham. So if we can get them points, then that would put us in good stead. But as we all know, games in hand don't mean points on the board. We have Wolves, a game in hand on Thursday, and then we don't play this weekend, so we get another game in hand somehow because of whichever team we're supposed to be playing. It's got another game, I don't know. But yeah, our games in hand are against Tottenham, Chelsea, and Wolves at the moment, so very tough games. And obviously I forgot about Tottenham as well. Tottenham could also get top 4 the way they're playing at the moment. I'm beating Manchester City twice. But yeah, we just got, like Arteta said in his pre and post match press conferences, and I fully support it. We take each game as it comes. You can only beat the opposition that's in front of you, and I think the team is definitely playing for him. We've got rid of a few players, Aubameyang mainly being one of them, that was just not doing it, and he scored a hat-trick for Barcelona yesterday. It just goes to show that his head wasn't really there for Arsenal anymore. It's a shame.
Or he wasn't being managed properly.
Well, yeah, but maybe he couldn't be managed by Arteta. Arteta doesn't necessarily like the big players that maybe have a too big an ego to play in a team which is so young and upcoming. I don't know. I'm not really going to go into that because I don't want to focus on the past. Aubameyang was a great player for us, and one of my favourite players at the time. But I'm not gonna draw on the fact that he's banging in goals for Barcelona, because it doesn't matter to me anymore. Like, we move on, we move forward, and we'll get a couple of new strikers in next season. I'm very excited to see who we're going to get, because we've got Nketiah leaving, Lacazette leaving, and we're going to get some players in, and I'm excited. And hopefully we can get top 4 Champions League football and get some quality players up front. We just got to get there first.
I'll tell you who you're getting Ashley Barnes when Burnley get relegated.
Yeah, Ashley Barnes, yeah.
Yeah, that's the caliber of your sort of players. No, well, I didn't watch the game. It was lovely to see Arsenal win. I'm lying here. I can't really comment on them. They're winning the games. They're showing that they've still got the fight in them. Like you said, you've got games in hand, but I know better than anybody that means absolutely nothing, because those games in hand can quickly be turned on their head and you come away with 0 points. So I think the testing times are going to be when you do play Chelsea, when you do play Tottenham, when you do play United again, see where you are then. And actually,
they're going to be absolutely huge games.
Yeah, those games in hand mean nothing to me, in the sense of is that the opposition that you're playing, because we still have to play Man City, we still have to play Liverpool again, we still have to play you again, we still have to play Tottenham again, we still have to play Chelsea again.
Yeah, so I mean, it's like, it feels like we're actually getting towards the end of the season, but we are so far off. There is still so much to happen.
Yeah. Okay. No. All good. All right. So it's all rosy in Little Gunner land. Okay. So let's move on. Just briefly touch upon the shock result of the weekend: Man City versus Tottenham. Man City need to sort themselves out. If they actually let Liverpool back into this and Liverpool win the league, I don't know what I'm going to do. I genuinely don't. I mean, I've when they won the league the first time, I thought it was great because, in the sense of there was no fans in the stadium. It just kind of felt like a nothingness. But can you imagine what it's going to be like when they're allowed to have all the parties again and the open top buses and all of that? Man City, I hate you, but I hate Liverpool even more. You can't do this to us. You need to sort yourselves out. Pep, if you're as good as what you think you are, and De Bruyne, you think you're the best player or the best midfielder in the Premier League, start proving it. Keep Klopp away from that Premier League, because I'll hate to think what could happen if they win the Premier League for the second time. That's all I'm saying on that.
I mean, it was funny, really. Harry Kane has not been there all season, but he had an absolutely amazing game. He was so good. And I hate Harry Kane. Unless he's playing for in England, in English shirt, I despise him. But he was amazing. He's got a whole new role, which for the past how many games, he disappeared. But this time against Man City, best team in the league, he's just, everything he does turns to gold. Yeah. Every ball he played, Son was there, and it's because how high Man City played. They played into their hands.
Yeah. So
they were able to just pop that counter-attacking ball in. I mean, if Kyle Walker wasn't so fast, Tottenham could have scored 5 goals from Son running through.
Yeah.
They knew they had an exact game plan how to play against Man City, and it paid off.
Yeah. So, I think for the sake of football globally, we've all just got to pray that Man City don't let this slip. Otherwise, the world, it ain't going to be a good place. So let's move on to our final game for consideration: United. Okay, Manchester United versus Leeds. For me, it was the game of the weekend. It was an old-fashioned kind of northwest derby. The weather, the conditions, great. The slide tackles. There was a little bit of action going on in terms of little almost fisticuffs at times. Scott McTominay should have been sent off multiple times.
Definitely.
But so it is what it is.
It was more like a slip and slide than a football game.
It certainly was.
Everyone was sliding all over the place.
Yeah, all they needed was their bikinis on, and it would have been great. I'm joking. Yeah. Dan James popping up with a little assist as he does. De Gea completely getting his angles wrong. There was some absolute brilliance from Pogba, even more absolute brilliance from Bruno Fernandes. I'm going to put it out there. Bruno Fernandes is the best midfielder in the league. And I don't think anyone can argue with that. His stats evidence that.
Yeah, I saw his chances created
Yeah.
stats today are like almost double anyone else's.
74 chances created. If Ronaldo was 10 years younger, man like Bruno Fernandes would already be straight up there in terms of his assists, and Ronaldo would have plenty more goals. If everyone raves about Alexander-Arnold, how much of an assist king he is, look at what Fernandes is doing as well, and he's also still getting goals. I remember that so many people were like bigging up Bernardo Silva, talking about how good he's been. Well, Fernandes has been even better than Bernardo Silva, but that gets lost because Fernandes is trying so much and he gives the ball away so much. I think his brilliance is just lost at times. But when he flicked that ball over Struijk's head or whatever his name is, and then into the path of Valanga, if that was Messi or if that was Ronaldo, people would be going mental. Or if that was De Bruyne, people would be going mental. But because it's Fernandes and because it's United, I don't think he gets spoken about enough.
I mean, he deserves massive credit. I don't think you can really say like, given the opposition. I mean, Leeds defensively, like if I mean this season Leeds could still get relegated. They're down there, and their team just isn't the same this season. They've lost a few key players to injury, but they've still got some massive players. They've still got Rodrigo, they've still got Rafinha, they've got Dan James, but their defence is shocking.
Yeah, it is.
And Manchester United were just toying with them at times. Some of Pogba's flicks, Bruno Fernandes just like flicking it round the back and doing like crazy stuff. Yeah, it's Leeds United. But still, credit where credit's due. They did put in some good goals and some good little touches. So,
but I think, as you said, Matt, you can only beat what's put in front of you. And I think we didn't only beat them, we smashed them at times. You know, I think they were incredibly lucky with their 2 goals. I think that if Rodrigo tried that again, he wouldn't get it. Okay, he wouldn't score that because it was a cross at the end of the day.
I think he caught De Gea off guard, didn't he?
And then that whole phase of play caught us off guard for that next goal as well. So, fair play, they put the ball in the back of the net. But as soon as we got to 2-2, I was thinking, here we go. We've seen it all before. Now, if this was Solskjaer in charge, we would have probably lost that game. But actually, we started to show a little bit of fight, and I was really happy. He was really bold, and he took off Pogba, which you were there at the time with me. I was like, what the heck is he doing?
You were like, Rangnick out.
No,
I'm done.
No, I wasn't, you crazy fool.
Apparently, you loved it when Fred came on. Apparently, that was...
Apparently,
you believed in him all along.
Hey, I've always believed in Fred. I love Fred.
You've always believed in him.
I love Fred. I genuinely...
I think it was just mainly that he took Pogba off instead of McTominay. Considering that McTominay probably should have already been sent off at that point anyway.
Exactly. But then Fredaldinho came on and he changed the game. So, fair play to Rangnick.
I'd tell you what, right? I've not been massively impressed with Rangnick and Man U's play. I don't think it's been exciting, but I watched 30 minutes of that Leeds game. It was just before I headed off to the Wolves game. And I thought it was like Roy Keane was like in charge, captain the side. There was that fighting spirit. For the first time in a long time, there was that fighting spirit. And, there's a massive crowd atmosphere at Ellen Road. And it was nice that Man U played how they turned up for that big occasion, because Leeds Man U game is a big game. Historically, a massive game. Like those, you know more than me, Nick, how much your fans hate each other and how much they were there. They were throwing coins at the Man U players. Hang got a coin through at his head. I mean, I'm pretty sure that happened
to me. I think somebody.
Whatever. Something conked him on their head. But I'm glad Man U you've got a good team and they showed up and they wanted to win. I know Leeds had a bit of a fight back, but I'm just glad there was a bit of spirit in there, because I think that's been lacking in Man U quite a lot recently.
I'm puzzled by the Rangnick criticism. I genuinely am, because he's lost 1 game.
I mean, defensively he's done all right. Don't get me wrong. Defensively, I can see his merits, but I just thought, because I know he's new. I know he hasn't been in the position that long, and he's only going to be there in interim. I just thought the brand of football he's playing wasn't, for the players he's got, for the players you've got on paper, the brand of football was not, up to
this is why
expectations.
this is why he's now changed it to play to their strengths. And that is it's starting to prove now, he's gone from, trying to do that gegenpressing, and he's realised actually that his players can't do it. Firstly, Maguire's not quick enough for them to be doing the gegenpress because that involves you having the high line, your players all pressing at the same time, and then being able to cover that ball when it's played over the top. He's just not quick enough to do it. Our other players don't have the mentality of Bruno Fernandes and Jadon Sancho, because when you play people like Marcus Rashford, he's just not going to press. He just, for some reason, he just seems really, really lazy and really reluctant to press. So I'm glad that he's gone back to almost that 4-2-3-1, or actually more recently, he's been playing 4-3-3, because he's now getting the best out of Jadon Sancho. And I think people can start to agree that Jadon Sancho is starting to light this league up, because the last 4 or 5 games, he has been sensational. Like, I'm talking, Jadon Sancho isn't the quickest, but he's certainly not the slowest. But he doesn't rely on his pace because he flicks it through people's legs. He plays those quick 1-2s. He's off on his bike, and he's got the skills and all of that sort of stuff. I think he's doing really, really well.
Yeah, what I liked about some of Jadon Sancho's plays this week, he doesn't run in.
Yeah,
he just walks in.
Yeah.
And the players were just like, where's he going? And he was just strolling in there, just picks the pass.
Yeah.
But I mean, like I said, it is Leeds, but yeah.
Well, you only beat Brentford, who we beat 3-1 at their place. But what I'm excited about is that we're also in a World Cup year now. So, if all of our English kind of, and I'm including all of our players here in terms of our respective teams apart from Leicester, all of our English cohort start doing really, really well, that could also mean good things for us. So, Saka keeps on performing, Smith Rowe, Sancho, if we can get Rashford back into form, all of that sort of stuff. If Maguire can sort himself out as well, let's hope.
I personally think you're a bit delusional if you put Smith Rowe above Maddison.
Oh.
I know. If you think that Leicester have not got enough to offer, and you're not mentioning Maddison, I think Maddison's going to turn up now because he wants.
Well, he better do now.
No, Maddison's not. He can't even get on the starting 11 against Wolves. He can't.
I think he was ill or something.
I said
I
think he's going to turn up. That's what I said. I didn't say he has turned up. I said I think he's gonna.
Okay, Tom, listen.
Whatever you did, Smith Rowe's attitude and fight,
you're right. I've been impressed with Smith Rowe. No, yeah. I am impressed with Smith Rowe. Don't get me wrong, but I'm just saying if you don't consider Maddison, that's all I said.
Okay.
If you don't consider Maddison, that's what I said.
Listen, if you give me some of that stuff you've been smoking, I'll consider Maddison. All right?
I'll give you Maddison's stats. I know he hasn't scored as many goals as Smith Rowe.
Listen, if you're going to give me Maddison's stats, I'll give you Fred's stats.
Yes, please. Let's swap those stats
because they're better.
Really?
I mean,
in what world?
How many Boohoo Man adverts Maddison's done against Smith Rowe? Then he definitely wins.
Yeah, but anyway, going back to my point is if we can get this English cohort, including from United, if you want to put Leicester in there, Tom, to make you feel better, then let's do it. But let's keep them all together. It could be a promising year for England. But just to sum up United, I'm happy with how we're playing. We're in the top 4. We've now made a gap between us and West Ham, and we've played the same amount of games. I'm confident when we play Arsenal, we can beat them. When we play Tottenham, we can beat them. And I'm also confident moving into, say, Liverpool, Chelsea and Man City, maybe that we won't beat them, but we can certainly take points off of them. And if we can keep gaining those points, I don't see us dropping out of that top 4. I do think it's going to come down to kind of like those last few games of the season, because our penultimate game is against Chelsea. And then our final game of the season, I think, is away to Crystal Palace. So that's certainly not easy. But at the same time, Arsenal's fixtures aren't easy. Tottenham's fixtures aren't easy. So there's
no fixtures are easy in this.
Exactly. So let's see what happens. But I think for our respective clubs, apart from Leicester, it's all looking good. Okay, so let's just quickly, to start wrapping up, let's do our player flops and players of the week and our manager flops and managers of the week. So I'm conscious that I always go last, so I'm going to kick it off. My player flop of the week has to go to, not really thought about it, but I hate to say it, but I'm going to go Ronaldo. Okay. He had what I would consider for him to be an open goal. I think there's been a lot of unfair criticism of Ronaldo. He's 37 years old. He's still, in my opinion, one of the best players in the world. But maybe perhaps that is also because I've got a bias for him as well. But he's still got 14 goals this season. Not 14 goals in the Premier League, but he's still got 14 goals this season. Not many other players can say that, okay, other than your obvious ones. So, but I think against Leeds and then, the other weeks as well, he's just, there's something not quite right. I'm really hoping that he's going to get into form now and he's going to start banging them in, because we can't say that we haven't created chances for him. But that one miss against Leeds, I was like, Ronnie, mate, you've got to go down as my flop because of how good you actually are. So he's my flop of the week.
I mean, if you had an inform Ronaldo, top 4 for you is going to be a lot more easier to achieve.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah. So, Tom, who's your flop of the week?
It's quite difficult because there was no one that did really. No one got red carded, did they?
Lukaku.
Don't say Lukaku. That's mine.
Did he actually get red carded?
No, he didn't.
Go on, Matt. You tell us your flop.
Okay, Lukaku, right? Lukaku. He touched the ball 7 times. That is a record low for touches in the Premier League since they started recording stats in 2003. There's a little stat for you. Not one of mine. It's what Sky Sports told me. But 90 million he cost. Chelsea won 1-0. Luckily, I mean, they managed to claw a goal in the 89th minute from Ziyech. But yeah, I mean, 7 touches from your 90 million pound striker. You got to sort it out, Tuchel, because that's not good. And I don't think it's all Lukaku's fault. That's balls being played to him.
Definitely.
Why aren't players giving the ball to him? I don't know.
Yeah.
Maybe it's because he wants to play for Inter Milan.
Yeah, that's true. Or maybe he wants to play for Arsenal. So, Tom, who's your flop of the week?
Do you know what, right? I thought there were some players some transfers happening, like Donny van der Beek go to Everton, and I thought he would really light up that game. I know it's still early days, but I thought Everton were not great. Dele Alli came on, weren't really amazing. There's quite a few players who I just thought didn't really hit their potential or didn't make the impression they needed to with their first game. I thought, or their early time in the club. I really thought the strikers of Aston Villa weren't very good against Watford. They missed some easy chances too. So I don't know. Mate, I'm going to put Donny van der Beek. You know what I mean? He's a great player, but come on, you got to fulfill your potential, man. You got to show Man U. You got to show Man U. You show Man U that they mishandled you. That you're a great player again. So I'm just gonna say him.
I mean, the week before he lit up that game forever.
Yeah, you're right.
He was a match winner for them. But no, I get what you're saying. He's being given a chance now. But also, one of my considerations is listen, I love Donny van der Beek, but maybe Everton is his kind of ceiling in regards to the Premier League. And until he starts to kind of like pull his finger out and take hold of his chances, I think he's going to get the flop of the week alongside people like Dele Alli a lot.
Yeah, I mean, Dele Alli had high hopes, but not really fulfilling them right now.
Absolutely.
Hey, has Dele Alli had a haircut now? Has he got rid of the locks?
I have no idea. I don't. No, I don't know.
I fell asleep. I was watching Match of the Day, but I fell asleep.
So good you fell asleep during the game.
Okay, so our players of the week. I'm gonna go for. I think it's really difficult, but I'm gonna go for. I'm going for Jadon Sancho. I think he's getting so good, and I think against Leeds he was the man that brought it all together. He got 2 assists, and did he get a goal?
No.
So he got 2 assists.
2 assists, yeah.
He could have had a goal had he finished a little bit better. I mean, I could have given it to Fernandes or Pogba. I could have given it to, I could have given it to Harry Kane. Maybe I should give it to Harry Kane.
I'm going to give it to Harry Kane.
Give it to Harry Kane.
Yeah, I'm going to give it to Harry Kane with Jadon Sancho close behind. Yeah, I can't overlook Harry Kane. 2 goals, 1 assist. Yeah, I can't overlook that. No, 2.
Yeah. It was an all-round masterclass.
I just hope Harry Kane doesn't play like that every game because...
Same. Yeah. No, so
great performance.
we've got a common consensus right there. Harry Kane's going to take it with Jadon Sancho just behind. We can all agree on that. Okay, so let's go for our manager flop and manager of the week. Manager flop, I am going for Frank Lampard. I think he's overrated. I've said it since his Chelsea days and since his Derby days. I think he's overrated. I think Wayne Rooney's better than him, and that's who Everton should have gone for. I think that Frank Lampard ain't going to... He'll see it until the end of the season, and then Everton will realise that they ain't got a very good manager with him because he can't get anything out of players. Yes, he's a legendary player, but he's not a legendary coach. And I'd say that Ole Gunnar Solskjaer is better than him. And then my manager of the week, I'm going to go for... I'd like to say Ralph Rangnick just because he made those changes that won us the game, but I think that's more bias driven. I think I'm going to go for Antonio Conte because, you know, he did what not many other teams do. He took on Man City straight away, and just that passion actually when Harry Kane scored, just like running and jumping.
Yeah, you've got to love Conte's passion.
Yeah,
you've got to love it.
I'm gonna go Conte.
Yeah,
I'm going for Conte as well. My flop, I'm giving to Pep because, like, he just played into Tottenham's hands. He should have managed that game better, and closely followed by Graham Potter. Come on, mate. You're supposed to be the future. You're supposed to be the next England manager, but you lost to Burnley at home. So come on, mate, sort yourself out.
That's fair. And he's been linked with the United job. That clown can stay well away from my club. I'd rather have Solskjaer back. Tom, who are you saying?
Manager, I think, and I hate to say this, and it upset me so much, but when Leicester played Tottenham, the belief that Conte is clearly injected into his players, that they can just turn a game around, press a button practically and get back into something. There's belief in there. He's an elite manager because he gives the players that belief. I don't know how he does that. That's, I'm sure, his secret herbs and spices of the managerial world, but he does it somehow. And it's absolutely incredible to watch. So, yeah. Manager of the week, Conte. I don't know, manager of the month yet. Maybe. Even though they didn't do too well before, did they? Tottenham. They won a bit.
No, actually, they lost 3 on the bounce.
So they won a bit of a losing streak. So manager of the week, flop. The first name that came to mind, I'm just going to say it was Steven Gerrard. I mean, Aston Villa lost 1-0 to Watford. Yeah. I know Roy Hodgson, he knows kind of how to work a system and deliver a plan. I think that's what he did successfully at Aston Villa. But, I mean, Coutinho, all these players you've got, and you couldn't do something against Watford.
It goes to show money doesn't buy you happiness.
I think, Luca Dean, all these players that they've got, Watkins, all these up-and-coming big players that apparently will go to bigger clubs, they just clearly didn't gel. I mean, he didn't really get a note out of them. So I'm going to say Steven Gerrard for me.
Yeah, no, that's fair. Okay, so we have come to the end of the show now. I'm not going to do the predictions just because, Arsenal and Liverpool and stuff aren't playing this weekend. So we'll save that for the next show. But that is the end of the show today, everyone. So if you are still watching, then please do give the video a big thumbs up, share with all your friends, and leave us a comment in the comment section below. That would be great. So, Matthew and Thomas, thank you very much for joining. Do you have any final comments?
No. I'm still just thinking about Harry Kane and how much I hate him, but
how much you love him.
How much I kind of don't think I'm going to sleep well tonight because I've just said Harry Kane was like really good, and it's just not right, really.
You just wait until you start calling your wife Harry Kane. Like, I love you,
Harry. I love you.
It's all right to admire how good a player is, even though he's a player from a rival team. That's fine. You're a football fan, right, Matt? You're not just an Arsenal fan. You're a football fan, yeah.
Yeah, I guess so.
It's okay to appreciate the footballers. I've not forgiven Harry Kane for scoring against Leicester the last game of last season, and ultimately leading us to 5th place.
Well, we just need him to play for that in it. Play like that in an England shirt, and we'll be
absolutely. Yeah. It's a World Cup year. Okay, so my final comments is Rodgers needs to be out or Leicester gets relegated. Okay, guys, hope you enjoyed the show. We'll see you guys next time.